Hey everybody, welcome back to Bridging the Gap. My name is Byron Nash.
And I'm Jack Johnny Angel Hunt.
So, if you're not, familiar with the show, this is about bridging the gap between genres of music and artists from the past, present, and future. And we talk about everything under the sun, from albums to recording processes to the music industry. And the best part is a special guest. We get to hear their stories. So.
Yeah, and we got a good one for you today.
We really do.
We're going to have some fun, right?
Yeah.
But before we do that, let's chat a little bit between you and I about records. What'd you listen to this week?
Man. I'm on a female empowerment move right now, so I'm
Nice.
checking out all the artists that really had an impact. And Rufus, featuring Shaka Khan.
Shaka Khan, Shaka Khan.
See, everyone knows that. That's like solo Shaka.
It is.
But the funky stuff
Rufus.
is like her with Rufus. I mean, if this doesn't tell you all the things, and there's a few things. So what I love about this era is, one, she's the focus of this, but how it's like a multicultural band, which you started to see in the 70s. You didn't really see that before that, and so you figure all those groups where you would say, oh, there's the black dude, white dude, and they all just kind of getting along for the sake of music.
I can relate to that.
I know you
That's
can.
where we started.
And I really, really love that about this era, and just something about the power of her voice in the context of that
Yes.
music. So this one really has a strong hold on my upbringing, because my mom, she listened to a ton of music, had an incredible vinyl collection, and this was one of those records that kind of really stood out for me.
Absolutely.
And I followed Shaka the whole time.
Yes.
Even and just all the other female artists are just
Yeah.
really strong and powerful singers. So this is sort of my record of the week right now.
I love it.
What do you have?
Well, I brought my favorite record ever. I mean, this is what I think got me really interested in music. I loved music before that, rock and roll and everything,
Yeah.
but the Temptations, when they did the Mellow Mood album, which is, they took pop culture and they turned it out to be one of the most soulful things for the year. And when I would go see the Temptations, all I wanted to hear was one of the songs from the Mellow Mood album.
Yeah.
But I had to do two because
that's right.
the Temptations are my all-time favorite. And this is the Temps album that I think is killer. And this was before Mellow Mood.
Oh, this is before, okay.
This is the original guys, the original Fab Five, right? And this is when Smokey Robinson wrote all the songs for them. And so the album's called Temptations Sing Smokey.
Wow.
Right. And Smokey, of course, is Mr. Motown.
Funny story. I got hired to play a Smokey Robinson dinner a few years ago. Petrified. And, it was like a private club. He has a wine, and it was like sort of a promotional thing for his wine. And so the guy who booked me said, hey, you're going to play in your usual spot. I was like, okay. And this guy's always good for changing it up last minute. And I get there, I'm like, hey, I'm downstairs. He's like, I think I'm going to have you upstairs. And I'm like, I didn't know there was an upstairs. So he puts me in this little corner, and it's right next to the dinner table. And when I say right next to it, I couldn't even get a stool in there. I had to sit on my amp. And I'm nervous because I'm starting to think about Motown and Stevie Wonder and all these artists that I respect, and the high level of musicianship that was there. And I'm psyching myself out. And I'm just sitting there warming my hands up. And then Smokey Robinson walks in. And I'm like, oh. And I'm just kind of playing. And he comes over and he shakes my hand.
Amazing guy.
And super sweet, super nice.
Yeah.
And then they go have the dinner. And it's I'm playing for them.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I don't want to play any Motown. So I'm making up music on the spot.
Yes.
Later, they tell me that he and his manager really love me, and they've been inviting me back ever since.
I love
That's my Smokey connection.
I love Smokey, but Temptations to me were the ultimate group. I
Yeah.
mean, if I would pick one artist that influenced me more than any other, that would be the Temptations.
Speaking of artists too, influence, I was thinking, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 83, 84? Remember We Are the World?
Oh, yes.
Remember all the influential artists that came together for that,
Yes.
Quincy Jones was the producer, but you had everyone from Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, Huey Lewis, you name it. And they were all from different realms,
different genres,
But you said something earlier where you said they ruled the airwaves.
Yes,
What do you think about that collaboration, artists coming together? I don't remember anything on that level before that.
I think the level that I was talking through that is that when I was growing up listening to radio, everything was a mishmash. You had everything from pop to standards to rock and roll to soul, but not much soul, just a little bit. It wasn't in the mix yet. So now you fast forward a couple years, and now you have all of the pop artists, all of the rock artists, all the soul artists, all as one.
Yeah.
And now it gave that whole generation a chance to see all cultures.
Yeah.
Where before, if you listen in my neighborhood, my mother's radio, it's Patty Page and Pat Boone, and Porky Chedwick was preaching to me through his radio that you got to listen to rhythm and blues,
Yeah.
you know, and that's the way it was, you know. So it was kind of a cool thing. It broke the ice and it brought the young people together with the old people.
Yeah, I remember how powerful that song was, and like all the things they were doing with it. And I remember sort of having like my favorite artist.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, that's my favorite. Oh, wait, that Stevie part's coming up. Because they only had like a line
That's
or so,
all.
you
That's
know.
it.
But for them to be on that level, that one line could be impactful.
Yes.
Awesome.
In Pittsburgh, they did 3 takeoffs on that. One was called We Don't Want Drugs in Our Lives, which was done by the judges in Pittsburgh. And it was all Pittsburgh artists, and I have the picture of it back in the museum, right? And then there was another one that we did. It was all different artists, and they were in the studios down at the Granati Brothers.
Oh, okay,
right?
yeah.
Which is kind of cool. So you couldn't wait. I played on local TV, and you'd wait for your line to come in. You know, I got a line in it. You know,
Yeah.
so it was kind of cool stuff.
It's interesting you bring that up because our next guest
Yes.
participated in a version of like the We Are the World thing that happened here in Pittsburgh way back in the day that I was unaware. So.
And you know what? I can't wait to bring her out here.
Yeah, she's great. We both have a connection to her,
Yes,
so
we
we'll
do.
we'll talk about that.
Absolutely.
Stay tuned for Stevee Wellons.
Jack in the Box.
Welcome to Jack in the Box. And this week's icon, actually it's 5 icons. I'm talking about New Kids on the Block. Now, if you were a kid growing up in that era, right, you just idolized these guys, like my daughter, for example. I'm an older guy, I wasn't real crazy about them, but my daughter loved these guys, right? And I learned to love them myself, you know what I mean? So I took her to her very, very first concert, and who was performing? Kid Play, and also New Kids on the Block, right? These are just some of the things that I've gathered over the years with New Kids on the Block. You got the action figures, all the dolls, all the dolls, actually. There's 2 of them. Here's Dawny Dawn, is that what they call them? Dawny Dawn. And Joey Joe, right? I just love it. And then you also have the game of New Kids on the Block. Or if you want to get up in the morning and get ready for school, you have your own New Kids on the Block alarm clock. I mean, you kidding me? If you were a kid waking up to New Kids on the Block, this week's icons, New Kids on the Block. Gang, I'm excited to invite our next guest and introduce, this is my buddy right here. This is Stevee Wellons. And Byron, you have a relationship also.
To the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Steve, I love the way you work and your charm on stage and your voice and everything is like, so I love talking with you and I love working with you. But I want everybody to know a little bit more about Stevee Wellons. Okay?
Ooh.
I read something about you on Facebook not too long ago when you were telling a story about what it was like being a black female artist coming up in Pittsburgh. Impressed me.
It did?
I loved it. I loved it because to me, you were telling about the obstacles and how they're still there.
And they're still there.
Yeah.
After all this time, I figure we get past them, but they're still there. And there's certain clubs that I cannot get into.
It's crazy.
Right now.
Yeah.
Right now. Or there's clubs that I won't work.
I don't blame you.
Of their policy.
Yeah.
And I won't do that. Yeah. And it's unfortunate because there's so much here.
There is.
There's so much, and a lot of folks don't know who we are. Yeah. Just come out and see us.
Yeah.
And be surprised.
Because you
know.
Oh, I do know. Yeah.
I know.
You know, he comes out, and my man comes in. Yes, he does.
But let's talk about your beginnings first. So my audience gets to understand a little bit about Stevee.
Okay.
Let's go back.
We're going back. My parents, my mother was a pianist, church pianist, and she sang.
Yes.
She was 16 and she was performing in the church, but that's what she wanted to do. She wanted to sing, but that didn't happen. Not in those days. You could go graduate from high school, but she couldn't do anything except for clean somebody's house. And that's not what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
But eventually she did get a job working as a secretary, but she played piano. We had a piano in the house. We sang all the time. She would play, we would sing, little kiddie songs, whatever. But I recall singing a beer commercial in my crib. I remember I couldn't sing the exact words because I was just a kid, but the melody, and I was singing Abadoo, Abadoo, Abadoo in I think it was 13. My mom says, what the heck were you singing? Okay, do you remember the Duquesne beer commercial?
I sure do.
Have a Duke, have a Duke, have a Duke.
Is that what it was?
That's what I was saying.
Oh, wow.
I nailed it.
Nice.
I nailed it.
At what point did you decide you wanted to be a professional musician?
I think it was mostly my brother. He sang a lot, and he's passed on, but he was a great vocalist. That's another story for another time, but he was a great vocalist. And I would always sing and watch TV, and what's that man's name? I can't even remember his name, but anyway. But I would watch TV, and I would have my hairbrush, and I'm in the mirror, and I said, I think I can do this. I would love to do this.
Yeah.
My 45s, my records, and I would sing, and I said, I think I'd like to do this. Then I met my former husband in high school, and he was a musician.
Yeah.
And he's the one who actually said, want to join my group.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Interesting. So coming from that era, and now you're gigging heavy now.
I was gigging heavy back then.
Yeah.
In the 70s.
Yeah. We'll just say back in the day.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yes.
Are things sort of the same, or are they a little different in the sense of like right now you just got back from a nice tour in Florida and all these things?
Yes.
What's different between now and then for you in your experience?
Well, then, you could work here in this area and do well. We could work 6 nights a week and not do one-nighters, not work in the same place.
Yeah.
Okay, in 1 week. You could just do hotel circuits. But back then they used to pay for your rooms and things like that. But they don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So now it's on your dime. Really, literally your dime.
Yes.
You have to make sure you have all that, and back then record companies would make sure you had spending money because they just wanted you to write, sell records. They wanted you to
Be an artist.
Recording, be an artist. Don't worry about your house payment. Don't worry about that. They would do that, but not anymore. You have to. It's all on your dime now. So
who was your biggest influence coming up?
Ooh, my first influence was because we listened to a lot of Motown, Whammo. We listened to a lot of that, and we would sneak and listen to KQV because we really did, and listen to the Beatles and things like that. We did, but my main influence was Jimi Hendrix.
Oh wow!
Believe it or not, he kind of opened my music world. Okay, and from then on, it was his Experience album.
Yeah.
By
Your
Experience.
Experienced, yeah.
And that, and I listen to a lot of male vocalists.
Okay.
So it puts me in a different, spot. So I listen to ladies, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You mentioned Chaka.
Yeah.
Okay, but Sly and the Family Stone, they had a multicultural.
That's true.
Yes, they did. That's absolutely.
Knocked me out.
Yep.
But he pushed that envelope. They pushed that envelope, and I said, yeah, I like that. Yeah. And I think I'd like to. And just singing, somebody asked me. I think I mentioned about what kind of music. It's everything. I listen to everything, and I said somebody coined the phrase "soulfully eclectic."
I like it.
That's me. I think that's for me. So I don't want to put myself in a box category.
It's hard not to sometimes.
It is difficult.
Well, we were talking about We Are the World earlier when that came out, and all the different styles of artists that were on there. You had Billy Joel, you had Stevie, Lionel, the whole
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. You had all these different Cyndi Lauper heavy hitters. On that song. Do you remember that time? Do you remember that era where ruled the airwaves and how impactful? Because videos were new.
That's right.
So that was sort of the game changer in the industry.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, for that, to see that and to hear that, the feeling, the camaraderie, it was a different time, and I think it's sorely missed today. Because I'll tell you what, it was wonderful. It was just the most wonderful feeling that all these musicians, we are the world.
That's right. United.
A small little rock, and we were all united as one, and people from different countries were singing it. Everybody was singing it.
Yeah.
And we need some more of that. We need more of that.
Little Birdie told me that you did sort of a Pittsburgh version of that. Can you tell us a little bit about that story?
We did. It was on, I believe it was on Channel 11, and we did it at I think it was not a Soldiers and Sailors, it's closed down the shrine.
Oh, yeah.
Syrian Mosque.
Syrian
Mosque.
Yes.
And we had the Pittsburgh musicians, I mean, everybody.
Wow.
We had Sputsy with Modern Man. Yep. Myself, I was with Shaker, a couple people from Shaker, Samson and Delilah, if you remember them.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of us, Donna Davis, a lot of our people are gone. I think people from the new show band. Everybody was on this set, full stage.
Yeah.
And we all sang We Are the World. We all had our parts. And we sang it, and it was wonderful.
Yes.
And they had it on channel. I wish I could see that again. They showed it on TV. Look, we're on TV. And I had my part. I sang my part. I can't remember what it was.
I never remembered either.
But it was great. It was great.
So with all the new stuff that you're doing, tell us about the project so people are familiar.
Project that I'm doing now. Our album. I'm with my duo Soulful, Femme, with my dearest friend in the world, guitarist. She's bad. I'm going to say bad A. Cheryl Renovato.
Yes.
And the name of our CD is called It Is Well With My Soul. And that is a hymn.
And it is good.
Oh, nice.
I have one.
You have one?
Absolutely. Cheryl gave it to me.
Yay, Cheryl.
What's next for you guys?
Next, we're writing the next one.
Yeah.
We're writing the next one. The next one's going to be a little edgier and tell more stories of, life, music, life, all of that. I think that's what we're going to do.
Life is different in the eyes of a musician than it is from the average person. Not only the average person, I'm talking about people that haven't experienced it.
Right, it is different. It is different. And somebody says, boy, you guys are weird. I said, yeah, but in a good way because we're artists. And we're a little different. But
we
I
choose
like
this life and the art chose us.
And the art, exactly.
Awesome. Well, we want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
it's a wonderful
actually, we have something for you. We have this rapid fire section where we're like, so you got to be on your toes. We're going to have Jack start it off for you.
Okay.
All righty. Stevie, give me something old.
Me.
Yeah.
Let that always come up.
Something old. A great record. Wake me, shake me, don't let me be too late. Do you remember that song? Gotta get up in the morning about 7:45.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that song?
Yeah,
I can't remember what it was, but
Shake Me, Wake Me by the Four Tops, which is what I was listening to.
Really? That was old. It was on a 45. My parents had it, and I played it over and over.
I love it.
Over and over and over.
Something new.
Something new. Working on our CD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something treasured.
Okay, an experience. I was singing in a club. This guy was sitting at the bar, and he looked forlorn, but he was sitting there at the bar. He stayed the whole night. And when I was done, he came up to me and he says, I loved your singing. It really made me feel some kind of way, so I'm going to go home, and I'm going to make love to my wife. That's power. That was power.
You're the influencer.
That was power.
That's powerful. That
was powerful. I mean, you're going to make somebody go home and, I don't know what the song was I sang or a couple songs. I don't know.
Funny.
Yeah.
And the last one is something true. Something about you that people don't know. Maybe your close friends know, close family, but something you're willing to share that's something true about you.
Something true about me. A lot of, I guess they notice that I love to cook.
Okay.
I'm a nut.
What's your favorite thing to cook? What is your best dish? How about that?
Ribs.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
May we'll have a barbecue episode.
Absolutely. Hey, we could do a cooking episode.
Oh, there we go.
And
cooking with musicians. I love that. We're going to do that.
Let's do that.
Yeah, well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. I love you guys.
We love you back.
Two of my favorite people.
And coming up next, we're going to jam.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right, guys, welcome on back to Byron's Bodega. Today I'm sharing with you probably the number one thing in my whole collection of things that I have, just because of the sentimental value. I was a big fan of Motley Crue and Rat and Ozzy and all that stuff back in the day. And I remember I used to like record their music off of MTV when the video came on to cassette. Then I finally like upgraded to vinyl, and this was one of my favorite records. Fast forward many years later, I ended up getting an internship at the Rock and Roll Reporter, and one of the first interviews I ever did was with Rat. It was sort of after their heyday and everything, but I was still very much so a fan. So my boss set me up with an interview with them, and I met them in their hotel room. I took my vinyl, I asked them questions and everything, and they hung out and we talked about rock and roll and metal, and they signed my record. But honestly, the one incident that got me into the music business was working with Rat, not me playing guitar, and I'll always be forever in debt to that experience. So this is sort of like my plaque and trophy of my journey, the beginning of my true journey. But it was crazy to go from fan to then almost like professionally working with them, you know, in that small setting. Changed my life forever. So I wanted to share this with you. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in this week. Stay tuned for next week's episode.
Can't wait to see you.
Thank you so much. I love you both. Love you.